little background before we begin. I'm a 20-year-old female living with my fiancé in a new apartment. We've only been living here for 2 months, and despite this scary little anecdote, I believe this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. My fiancé works at night from 4 to 5 p.m. until about 1 to 2 a.m. We live in a relatively nice neighborhood, but the small city and the ghetto surrounding it isn't far from us. I should also preface this story by mentioning that I do believe in the paranormal, and I do read a lot of creepy stories and watch creepy shows. Horror is my favorite genre, but it has never affected my sleeping habits or dreams. Until possibly the other night. It was late, 3 a.m., and my fiancé had just gotten home, and we were laying in bed together. I fell asleep without any trouble, but all night I was tossing and turning and having nightmares one after the other. The last one really had me reeling. I was laying in my bed in some sort of sleep paralysis. I could tell that my fiancé had gotten up from bed and was now standing to get his work clothes on. I could hear his belt jiggling as he got it into place. I also heard something else. The screen on the window right beside me was making the very distinct noise of creeping up. It sounded as if someone was trying very quietly to raise it enough to get to the window. My eyes were closed in this dream, but I was trying desperately to get my fiancé's attention, to tell him to lock the window before whoever or whatever was outside before it made it into the house. Terror was coursing through my body, and I still couldn't say anything. When I woke up, I shot in bed and hurriedly shook my fiancé to wake him up. He was still in bed with me. He hadn't risen to get dressed for work yet. It was only 7:20 a.m. Shaking him and saying his name a couple times, he finally managed to wake up. I yelled for him to lock the windows immediately. He gave me a groggy, "What?" but then noticed the stricken look on my face. He instantly shot up in bed and checked all of the windows. They were all locked, except the one right beside me. Fast forward a day or two, and my mom comes over for a visit. We chat, and at this point, I completely forgotten the weird dream I had a couple nights prior. As she's leaving, she turns to me, glances behind me, then looks at me again. "Did you know that screen is open?" she asks. I whip around to see that the screen to a different bedroom in her apartment is opened all the way. I then explain to her my dream and how weird that the whole thing is. She warns me to lock my windows and make sure all the screens are down. I do so immediately. The next night I'm laying down in bed when my fiancé, who's cleaning the kitchen, calls for me. I don't move from my comfy little spot, and he eventually makes his way towards me. He silently hands me a picture of a birthday cake that is dressed to someone's grandmother. Confused, I stare at it for a moment, then look to him. "Did you find this behind the fridge?" He looks at me with concern, then nods. "How did you know?" I shrug my shoulders and a bolt of electricity shoots down my arm as I hand the picture back to him. I don't know. I have no idea how I knew that he found it that there. I didn't hear him moving the fridge. I wasn't in the room when he found it. But I just knew that that was where the picture had fallen. Now I'm officially creeped out. But I think that whoever that grandma was just warning me that I better keep my windows shut tight and locked. And she also wanted to let me know who she was. If there is something here in this new apartment of mine, I think it's friendly. I think she's just looking out for me. Update. So, it's been a while since I posted this, and a couple more weird things have been happening. I think that this lady is honestly trying to mess with my head. The first thing that really scared me happened about a week ago. Just to give you a quick layout so you can understand why I was so freaked. My apartment looks like this. You walk in through the front door, and you enter the living room. To your left is a kitchen, and an open doorway that leads you into it. If you cross the living room and head just to the right of the kitchen, you have a tiny hallway that connects the living room, bathroom, and 2 bedrooms at either end of the hall. The spare bedroom is on the left, and there are 2 windows. One faces I guess you can call it the carport, and the other faces another small apartment complex with a strip of grass about 3 yards wide in between complexes. I was in the spare bedroom where we keep our desktop computer and other game memorabilia. As my boyfriend is huge into comics and gaming, I'm sitting there playing a game on the computer, and I'm waiting to load into the server. I'm on Discord, which is like Skype or Xbox party chat for computer gaming, and I can see if someone's talking because their little bubble will pop up with a ring around it. So I'm sitting there, and everyone is quiet. I know this because I was looking at Discord and trying to come up with something to say to cut the silence. That's when I hear this really loud and in my ear voice harshly whisper, "Hey." Absolutely terrified, my phone falls into the desk and I whip around to see if my fiancé had come home, and I hadn't noticed he snuck up on me, which would be impossible because the computer faces the bedroom door. That was closed. The window behind me leading into the carport is closed, and the window beside me is closed. The ceiling fan is running, but it isn't making any weird noise. Keep in mind, I had headphones on as well as with the mic. I could have breathed really heavily into the microphone and scared myself, but I really don't think that it was, because I didn't say hey. The other really strange thing happened. Again, while my fiancé was out. His friend was coming over to pick up some stuff we let him put in our storage area. The storage area is always locked. It has a different key than our house keys, so we don't lose them. Because we have 2, we store them in a kitchen drawer in an envelope marked storage keys. When he gets to the apartment, I get up and go to the drawer to grab one of the keys, only to find them both missing. Confused, I let his friend into the apartment, and we search everywhere for the damn thing. Eventually, I jimmy the storage door open and let him grab his stuff because I am tired of searching for the damn key. He leaves, and I go into the bedroom to lay down for a couple of hours. I got a text from a friend inviting me out, and I decide to go. I get up from the bed, start getting dressed, and when I turn around, the key is laying on the bed, right where I had been laying. Needless to say, I was totally fucking freaked out, and even retelling this is giving me chills. Really hope this is the same lady, and she's just playing with me now. And if it is, I really hope she stops soon. Shit keeps happening. Nothing has really increased in terrifyingness, but weird things keep going on. This little anecdote, however, didn't happen to me. Something has finally happened to my fiancé. As creepy as it was for him to encounter, I'm glad he's finally seen something. He had just finished playing his PC game and got up from his chair. I was sleeping in the game room on the couch. I have this weird feeling when I'm alone in a room. I prefer being near him wherever I can. So he got up and tried to wake me up. Me, groggy as hell and a bear when I'm disturbed from my slumber, kindly told him to fuck off. He shrugs and goes into the bedroom. About 5 minutes later, I get the creepy vibes, so I get up and walk into the bedroom. He looks up from his phone, startled, and stares at me. I didn't notice that he had a really creeped out look on his face, and he waits until I'm in bed and snuggles up to him before he says anything. Can I tell you something really creepy? Groggily annoyed, yet slightly intrigued, I said, I suppose so. I thought you just walked in 30 seconds before you were standing in the doorway. Apparently, he was laying in bed looking at his phone when he saw this black shadow move up over his legs and come up next to him. He got scared because he didn't feel the presence on the bed, and he thought it was me. He turned his phone to shine the light against the footboard of the bed, and he didn't see anything. Then he looks to his left, and I'm walking into the bedroom. My best friend from upstate New York came down to visit this past week. He was sleeping in the living room, and the way the house is set up, the living room looks into the hallway. You can see the game room door and the bathroom door, but not the master bedroom door. My friend is looking down at his laptop. The curtain's open, and it's broad daylight out. He sees movement from the corner of his eye, but doesn't look up. It was a dark shadow that stood in the doorway of the hallway for a few seconds before he looked up and realized nothing was there. He thought it was either me or my fiancé, but we were both sleeping. Side note, I should probably mention that all this ghost stuff going on has really gotten me even further into the paranormal things. I bought a Ouija board with my friend. We used it once together while he was here, but my fiancé doesn't want the board in our apartment, so it stays in my car. We did contact 2 spirits, and the whole session was really interesting. But I don't know who I'm going to play this board with anymore, because not one of my friends wants any part of it. Still, I don't think I've contacted the spirit that's haunting me. I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Couple more things have happened since I last updated you guys. This stuff happened once again in the game room. It was the middle of the day, after a long morning of work. I came home and started playing on the computer. But after a couple of hours of doing absolutely nothing, I was tired. So I moved to the couch in the same room, laid down, and set up a playlist to play on YouTube for me. I was just starting to fall asleep when I heard what sounded like something falling off the desk. I opened my eyes, looked around, and didn't see anything wrong. Shrugging it off, I laid back down, and the same noise happened. I got up this time and looked outside. The window was open, and I poked my head out and checked out of the parking lot. There was nobody home. I didn't see any cars. It didn't sound like a car door anyway. It sounded like it was in the room. I laid back down for the 3rd time, and again, something fell. I looked around, got pissed, and addressed the situation in the only way I knew how. I sat up, looked around, and said, "Listen, I'm tired. Just stop with the noises. I really want to take a nap." The noises immediately stopped. No weird feelings. I went to sleep. On a different night, my fiancé and I were falling asleep. It was really late, or really early, maybe 5 a.m., and we hadn't been to bed yet because we were playing games and having a good time. We didn't have work the next morning, so we were excited to sleep all day the next day. As we were laying there, we hear something from the game room, like something moving or falling. I looked at him and knew he heard the same thing. He asked me if I wanted to check it out, and I gave him a look. He sighed and got up. He walked into the game room and looked around, but nothing was out of the ordinary. The window was open, so it could have been outside. Critters or something? Whatever, not a big deal. We closed the window and didn't hear anything else that night. The final and 3rd occurrence right now, and I'm not even sure if it's paranormal. Ever since I bought the Ouija board, I've had to keep it in the trunk of my car because my fiancé won't allow it in the house. All day, every day, there was this murder of crows that hang out all day by the dumpster. I didn't see a single crow before buying the Ouija board, and the crows get uncomfortably close to my car. Am I reading too much into it? Probably. But hey, it's weird that I've never seen one before. And now every day, there's a whole murder of them near my car and the dumpster.